So, anyways, what are your thoughts on the election and how that's actually going to affect cryptocurrency? If you have any different takes on it since last time we talked.
Um, I mean, I know last week whenever we were talking, I was saying I don't really think. I mean, I think that there's a lot of hesitancy in people right now. I think a lot of people are expecting the election to have a lot bigger of an impact on the market than it's going to. And I think that's why it probably will end up having a pretty significant impact. Just because there's so many people that, yeah, I mean, especially with the altcoins as well. I think a lot of people are holding things that are a little bit more stable right now, like Bitcoin and Ethereum, and potentially rotating stuff into stable coins just because of the unpredictability and the volatility coming with the election coming up. But yeah, I mean, I know obviously Trump's been very pro crypto. He's talked about creating the Bitcoin reserve, and I mean, I'm sure it's going to outperform with Trump winning versus Kamala, but I really I haven't followed her too much. It's hard for me to genuinely watch anything she says with it. It just makes me cringe super hard. But I try and force myself to pay attention to what she's saying and what her plans are. But really, I haven't heard her talk about any kind of policy that she's really trying to push. I mean, I feel like Democrats have been kind of known for that. Like, with Obama, it was Obamacare. That was his big thing that he was trying to implement. With Biden, I can't remember the names of his programs, but he had like the big thing for the environment was like the big deal that he was pushing. As far as Kamala, I mean, she's been in office for 4 years, and I have no idea what her plan is at all.
No idea.
I know there's a Photoshop picture of her in a McDonald's uniform from 20 years ago that wasn't real, which is interesting. Um, but yeah, I mean, I don't really think it's going to tank. I think it's going to perform well whoever wins just because it's out of the way and in the rear view, in my
Right.
opinion.
Yeah. So basically, what I've been seeing on the price action, we'll get into the charts here in a second. I'll pull up some charts. Is because Trump was becoming so favored for the election in recent time, last week or two, you saw the markets pricing in the Trump victory. And so you saw Bitcoin go back up to its all time highs, retest that. You saw other things starting to rip. Altcoins were starting to perform better. And so it's not necessarily that the markets are going to care so much for one candidate or the other, which I agree with. The winner ultimately won't decide whether or not there's going to be a bull run. There will be a bull run. But what markets don't like is uncertainty. So the fact that they've priced in Trump so heavily over the last couple of weeks in the markets, now that the odds are becoming a lot more in favor of Kamala, now, not in favor in the sense that she's more likely to win, but her odds have risen quite a bit. That's now creating some uncertainty. And that's why you saw over this weekend, as her odds were jumping up and Trump's were coming down, you saw Bitcoin start to puke and altcoins took a fucking beating. Because it's not that they necessarily think that Kamala would prevent a bull run. It's because it's the uncertainty of it. They had already priced in Trump. Now that it could be wrong, which based off of the odds, now you're seeing a lot of volatility because of that, which is not good. So you don't want to see uncertainty. So best case scenario, I would say for tomorrow is regardless of who wins, you want a decisive victory. So if somebody wins decisively, that's good because now we have certainty in the outcome. It's a binary outcome. We just want certainty of it. If Kamala wins, you're definitely going to see a local time frame, a very local price action to the downside. You're going to see shit, it's going to drop for sure because they priced in Trump so hard. But 3 to 6 months from now, market will still be in a bull run. Like it'll still go up. But I believe it'll be a muted cycle because objectively, Democrats have been a lot more difficult with crypto and have been a lot more predatory towards the crypto industry. That's objective. You can take a look at it from the Biden administration. You can take a look at it from the senators that are Democratic that vote that way. And for Trump, again, objectively, whether you believe he's going to do it or not, has been stupidly bullish crypto. Just literally just bullish crypto. Bitcoin's going to get made here. I want to make it so that we're the leading country for the crypto industry, et cetera, et cetera. So that's just objective. So if Trump wins overall in terms of the explosivity of the bull market, it will be bigger. So Trump overall for the bull market in terms of how much upside we can get will be better, but either candidate Bitcoin's still going into price discovery. So I think the big point for right now is you don't want to get too caught up in the local price action because it is going to be volatile. That's just how it is. Markets don't like unpredictable situations. But in terms of short-term price action, yeah, Kamala is going to be bad. Trump would be good. Overall, either candidate doesn't really matter. It's going to still perform well. So, anything on that?
Yeah, I mean, I agree. You had talked about the ETFs with Bitcoin.
Uh-huh.
I don't think we talked about that last week. I think we talked about that over this past week since last Monday. Do you want to explain that a little bit and kind of what you see coming up with that?
Yes. I'm going to get right into that, but I just saw Ollie put in the chat, I've traded all my Brett for ETH. That was a joke, Ollie. So, I'm sorry. Okay. All right. So now we have influence, so we got to be a little bit more careful, I guess, about what we say.
Hopefully he's joking too.
I hope he's joking. He said, I can't get it into Great British Pounds. I think he's being serious. Good thing about base, Shane, why I'm so bullish on base, is Ollie probably only spent 1 cent for that transaction. So it's not the end of the world.
Do it back.
Yeah. But Ollie, that's actually not a terrible idea because if Kamala wins, Brett's going to go way fucking lower. So it is actually better to hold ETH going into the election. So I would actually say, Ollie, since you've already traded it into Ethereum, just don't. I'm not joking. Yeah, I figured he wasn't. So leave it in Ethereum, Ollie. Don't touch it. And then if Trump wins, immediately buy back into Brett. If Kamala wins, Brett's going to dip lower and then just buy Brett whenever it goes lower. Make sense? So it's actually not.
Yeah, I mean, with the gas fee, with the gas fees being that cheap, it doesn't really matter.
Yeah. Yeah, it doesn't. It is on base, thank God. Yeah, Ollie, just don't do anything. I was definitely kidding though about selling all your Brett. What you should be doing right now is buying more Brett. So I would just
You're
buy
saying
more
it because
Brett.
I'm being negative.
Exactly. So, okay. So ETFs. So we were talking about the ETFs, and okay. So yeah. So here's the other thing too with the bull market. You guys have to understand that markets are manipulated. Okay. You don't want to be naive and assume that we live in a society where everything's 100% fair and free and da 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 da. The reality of it is Bitcoin is such a larger asset that the only people who can actually move the price on Bitcoin are people who have hundreds of millions of dollars. Okay. How do I know something like this? Well, for example, there was a guy just last week who sold ticker Bitcoin, which is the meme coin of Bitcoin. He sold, I believe it was $2 or $3 million worth of ticker Bitcoin. Okay. He literally took that $3 million and turned around and just went and bought regular Bitcoin with it. $3 million worth of Bitcoin. Obviously, Bitcoin's price did not fluctuate at all because of that. So think about that. You could buy 10, 15, $20 million of Bitcoin, and that buy won't move the price of Bitcoin in and of itself, right? So think about how much capital you have to move the price of an asset that's over $1 trillion. Okay, Bitcoin's an over $1 trillion asset. $10 million buy is not going to move that fucking price. So the point I'm making is that now, this year being the first year that financial institutions are now legally able to go ahead and trade these assets like Bitcoin and Ethereum whenever they approve the ETFs, this now allows people who can actually manipulate the market. Well, I mean, they were already manipulating it behind the scenes, but now expose retail to it. Companies like Blackrock, the other companies that are sponsoring these ETFs, all they've been doing for the last 8 months is manipulating the price between this range of 72, 73,000 and down to 52, 55,000 so that they can go ahead and get their positions in for their ETFs so they can get their average cost down towards the $55,000, $60,000 range, towards the bottom of that range. All they're doing is getting their positions in so that whenever the bull market does start, they're making a shit ton of money for not only themselves, but obviously their clients as well. So the point we were making is that there's no fucking way that there are billions and billions of dollars of asset or of liquidity going into Bitcoin and Ethereum this year for the price to just tank. It's simply not going to happen. because these people are in the business of making money, right? So they're going to make money. They're not going to do everything they possibly can to position themselves at around a $55,000, $60,000 average cost per Bitcoin to then just send it down to 30K or 40K. It just literally will not happen. So the point is that you shouldn't be worried about the local price action, because what these big institutions do is they put in big buys to start pumping price, so then everybody else starts jumping in to pump price even higher. Once you get to the top of the range, they start selling in large amounts to then start shoot the price back down. Everybody gets afraid and they shoot the price back down. We can sell their bags. And then once they get to the bottom of the range, that's when they come back in and they scoop it up more for their average price to be lower. So this is all they've been doing for the past 7 months, 8 months. This is typical market manipulation so that these big guys can get their positions in. Now we've been doing that for 8 months. Again, we're not going to go down. We're going to go up. So you just got to understand, well, whenever we are towards the bottom of a range, you do what the big guys are doing and they pick up the assets at a discount. So right now, Ollie, like for yourself with Brett's bleeding. Altcoins are bleeding right now. First of all, pray for a Trump victory. And number two, you should just continue to buy more and more and more of these assets at the lows, because when we do eventually get into the bull run, which it happens every 4 years, it's not like it's not going to happen. You're going to be obviously making multiples on a lot more money than what you would have if you just never bought in more or DCA'd. So, but anyways, that was the point, is that the price is not going to go down. They're not going to lose money.
Trump election rain dance.
Mm-hmm. Was that the point you wanted me to make about the ETF? So I think that's what we were talking about.
Yeah, well, it was from what Louis was saying about him.
Uh-huh.
You know, saying that like he doesn't think a lot of that is showing in the. You remember?
Yes, now I remember. Got you. Yeah. So I'll go into it. So a really smart point that one of the guys we listened to made about the ETFs as well is that a lot of these big corporations, the Blackrocks, these people who are putting in billions and billions of dollars into Bitcoin, these transactions are OTC. So OTC is over the counter, meaning that they're not going to a Coinbase or a Kraken or a Binance and just placing an order for $1 billion worth of Bitcoin. That's not how this works. So again, retail, you open up a Coinbase account, you go on there and you buy, $200 worth of Bitcoin, you buy it from Coinbase. That's not what BlackRock does. BlackRock, these big corporations, they're going to go to individuals who have massive supplies of Bitcoin. These are ancient whales from back in 2012, 2010, 2014, who just had, thousands of Bitcoin. These, the crypto billionaires. So they go to these
whales.
Yeah, the ancient whales. So they go to these people who have massive supplies of Bitcoin, and they do OTC deals, so over the counter. So they'll agree upon an average price per Bitcoin. They'll settle on it, boom, 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 and then they'll make that transaction off of the books. Is this crime? Debatable.
Study it.
Study crime, though. Yeah, we actually benefit from crime, unfortunately. But is it crime? Probably. But they do it over the counter, so it's not actually showing up on the blockchain. And so the reason this is important is because these billion-dollar buys are happening behind the scenes, and it's not even showing up on the actual Bitcoin charts and in the price action. Because if these billions and billions of dollars were showing up on the ledgers or showing up in the charts, then yeah, Bitcoin would be at a much higher price than what it is right now. It would be much higher. But they're trying to mute the price so that they can get their fills. So the point is then, so what's going to happen is all these people that have all this supply of Bitcoin, they're selling it to these massive institutions to supply their ETFs. Eventually, they're going to run out. That's how it works. Eventually, the supply does run out. And what you're going to see is Bitcoin's going to go from 60, 69, 70K to 100K. And then from 100K to 200K, you're going to see that shit happen in fucking a second. Because once they've chewed through that supply, 100K to 200K Bitcoin is going to happen instantly. Because now these ETFs, these institutions are going to have to go buy Bitcoin on the open market. Once you start buying that much Bitcoin on the open market and the supply is already pretty much gone, the price is going to fucking explode. And that's where you see the bull run. That's where you see the alt seasons. So yeah, so study crime, study over-the-counter deals happening, and study supply being chewed through without people even seeing it on the charts. So again, that's why you're going to get this explosive price action on Bitcoin whenever these guys start having to come to the open market to get their supply. So, but yeah, no, that was a fantastic point that he had made.